All right, welcome back, welcome back. I am really excited to make this video because Syndrion is my favorite character in Call of Dragons. I'm going to go over everything you need to know about this character and explain just why I think he is a precision god. Stick around. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has been supporting me as I start this journey. I really appreciate you guys, seriously. If you want to join in on our small community, you can check out my Discord, the Dojo, in the link below. I've made some awesome high-quality written guides that I think you will find useful. I also stream on Twitch from time to time, and my Discord is the best way to get notified when I go live. That out of the way, let's jump right into this awesome character. Alright, so just like with every guide, we're going to want to go over the hero's skills first, just in case someone's new or they don't really know what Syndrion does. We'll briefly touch on this really quickly. So his rage skill is he gains keen and rapid fire, which increases his attack by 20% and also gives him an additional normal attack every second for 7 seconds. Pretty big skill there. His second skill is when he's besieging a city or stronghold, he gains an attack bonus of 10% and a defense penetration bonus of 5%. Third skill here, Feather Strike. All marksman units in Syndrion's Legion gain 10% normal attack crit rate and 15% HP. So that's pretty standard passive there. And this one's huge. For a Shadow, when battle begins, Syndrion's Legion gains rapid fire for 1 second, up to 3, launching an extra attack every time they launch a normal attack. 1 second after the battle begins, Syndrion's Legion also gains 20% attack bonus, lasting until the battle ends. Now, the reason why this one's so important is because there's no cooldown on this. You'll notice that from the tooltip here. There is no cooldown on this. So what that means is you can city hop ridiculously well with Syndrion. You can pop out, shoot them with rapid fire for 2 to 3 seconds, right? Pop back in your city, pop out, do it again, right? You don't have to wait for the ridiculously long buildup of his rage skill because it does take a while for Syndrion to build up his rage skill. So if you're being pushed back by the enemy, you just hop out of your city, poke them, hop back in before they can respond, and you're almost always going to win that trade because you're shooting off 2 normal attacks. Super, super good. His awakening skill here is free as the wind. Every time Syndrion's Legion lands 5 critical hits from normal attacks, they deal additional hero skill damage to the target Legion with a damage factor of 400. This skill takes him to a new level. That is why Freygar is perfect for him. She gives him the crit rate he needs to consistently proc this, and it gets nuts with the damage that he does. I cannot wait until I get this character awakened. Now, on the topic of awakening, I do like to give you guys a real quick rundown on whether I think a character is worth the investment or not for your mana stones, because those are precious, especially if you're free to play. Syndrion is at the top of my list for archers. The only person above him is Kanara. Kanara's insane. We'll talk about her in a later video. But Syndrion is second on that list for who you should awaken as an archer main. He is super high priority for his awakening. It gets insane. It does insane damage. Not only that, but Syndrion is just good everywhere. I mean, like, he's amazing. He's probably the best. No, he is the best at slaying behemoths. He's a really good rally commander. Theodore came out. That's the only thing that kind of put him in check. Otherwise, he was a terror for rallies. He's great in open field, especially small scale when you're city hopping or you're fighting like 1v1. He can do tremendous damage to, other marches. He is a Goldcrest carrier, and you'll see Goldcrest is not a artifact you really want to mess around with. It does so much damage. It deletes legions completely. This character's nuts, okay? Seriously, if you're looking at a character to invest in and you're an archer main, Syndrion should be at the top of your list right next to Kanara. Alright, so now we're going to go into his talent trees. Let me go ahead and get into a proper menu here for Roots of War, because it's a lot easier to see here. So if we go into his talents here, I'm going to try to get through this quickly. I don't want this video to be as long as last time. So we take attack. We always take speed here. We always take health here. Then we got Arrow of Precision. Your Legion deals 2% more normal attack damage and ignores 1% of the enemy's defense while in battle. That sounds great. We're going to take the attack because we have to. Now here, we're going to take normal attack damage. And the reason why is because this scales so hard. If you think about normal attack damage with Syndrion, he's doing double normal attacks. He's got Freygar as his pairing usually, which means he's got crit and crit damage on those normal attacks. And then you also factor in that he's got this normal attack damage scaling, right? So definitely want to take normal attack damage whenever we can. The next one here is going to be 1% less hero skill damage, but their attack is increased by 1%. This is very good value on him because if he's paired with Freygar, he doesn't have any damage on his skill, and Freygar's skill already does like no damage anyways. So it's 600 before Awakening, 800 after Awakening. So we don't really care if we lose some hero skill damage. We're going to replace that with attack, right? Here we got Whirlwind and Invincible. Now this one's up for debate. I've actually debated with Chisgul about this one a little bit. He prefers Whirlwind when launching a normal attack. Your Legion has a 10% chance to deal hero skill damage. I personally prefer Invincible. When launching a normal attack, your Legion has 10% chance to gain Onslaught, increasing their normal attack damage by 8%. See, we want to really invest in that normal attack damage because that's where our damage is coming from. It's not coming from skill damage. It's coming from our normal attack. So we're going to keep scaling that up right there. This one's kind of a no-brainer. Cool under pressure. Your Legion deals 2% more normal attack damage when their unit count is above 50%. Super, super good value there too. It goes up to 10%, which makes it insane. Now, I love head held high on almost every character. There really isn't a character that you can go wrong with this on. It just gives you a chance to get more rage, up to 50. So 10% chance on normal attack. We're doing double normal attacks. It's, about double the chance. It's not quite double the chance, but it's about double the chance that your Legion gains 50 rage. It's super, super value. We want to make sure we take that. Now, Intrepid. When casting rage skills, your Legion gains focus, increasing their normal attack crit rate. So we'll go ahead and take this because we want crit rate. Even with Freygar, we won't have 100% crit rate, so we want to get that as high as possible. And then the main reason why we're taking this is because it's 15% more normal attack crit damage, which is huge damage because we're going to be critting a lot with this character, right? Now, I did mess the pathing up a little bit here. Once you take Cool Under Pressure, you want to go here first. Okay, if you're leveling this character normally, obviously I'm in the leveler for Roots of War, so I have all the points. But yeah, you'll go Cool Under Pressure, Intrepid, Unstoppable, and then here you'll choose your major talent, and then you'll come back and you do Head Held High. Okay, so our major talent is Mighty Slash and Mark of War. Again, Chisgul loves the Mighty Slash. When launching a normal attack, your Legion has a 15% chance to trigger an additional normal attack. This effect can be triggered once every 20 seconds. This is a good talent. My problem with it is it has a 20-second cooldown. So let's say you're fighting, the first 5 seconds you proc it, that's awesome, okay? But you could go 10, 15 seconds without proccing this. Not very high chance, but you could. And that's what I don't like. I like consistency. Consistency matters more to me. I do like to gamble on occasion, which we'll talk about. But for this particular skill set, Mark of War is way more consistent damage. It increases the attack of your Legion by 0.5% every 10 seconds up to a maximum of 3%. Now, with this one, I do believe it's persistent. So as soon as you come out of your castle, your Legion is going to gain 0.5% attack up to 3% every 10 seconds. What that means is that you need to be basically waiting for this for about a minute, okay? Once a minute has gone by, you'll have the full bonus, and you'll have it until you go back to your castle, okay? So with that in mind, if you're doing a lot of city hopping and you're just fighting around your city and you want to swap your talents for the most amount of damage, Mighty Slash is going to be 100% the best option because you can come out, you can smack them, hopefully you proc Mighty Slash, you do that third normal attack in 1 second, and it does some pretty crazy damage. But in most cases, if you're looking for a talent that you're just going to leave on and forget about, Mark of War is going to be the best one. You're going to get 3% really quickly. Yeah, it's a minute that you have to wait, but you're going to be walking towards wherever you're fighting for a minute anyways because archers are slow. So we do take that talent. And then we move right along here. Now, I do like Irrepressible, but the ignoring of enemy defense isn't super high priority, okay? It just isn't because of the simple fact that most units don't have a lot of armor to begin with, so a percent scaling on that's not going to be that high. You're going to be attacking mages, other archers usually with these, sometimes cavalry. Normally, you're not going to be hitting infantry with your archers if you can help it, okay? So against infantry, yes, this would be really helpful, but personally, I want to see 5 points in suppression. 25% chance to inflict fragility on the target when casting rage skills, increasing your normal attack damage that they take up to 10% for 5 seconds. So I put 5 points there. Now, Force of Will is really good. I am of the belief that you need to have this, even though you have Invincible and they don't stack, they refresh each other. I think it's important to have the most amount of uptime on Onslaught as humanly possible, because it is a lot of damage increase to your normal attack. And if you only have Invincible, you're not going to have Onslaught 100% of the time. You're going to have downtime on it. Whereas if you have Force of Will, you'll have a higher uptime, which means you'll do more damage over time. Again, I do not like RNG in most cases. I prefer to have consistency. So with that being the case, I'm going to put 4 points actually into Force of Will, because we want to get it to 8% so it matches Invincible. We don't really need it to go to 10%. We don't really care about that. Just get it to 8% so it matches that Force of Will. And then here's the one time I like to gamble, I put 1 point into initial intuition, because it has a chance to remove a debuff. And you have extra 2 points in this build anyways. So it's not a bad idea just to, put it in here, because if you proc it, hey, you just removed a debuff. That could be a defense increase debuff. That could be, a buff, I mean. That could be like it could be an invincibility buff, right? Like if they had the frozen, whatever it's called, the frozen ring, right? And it's like a tank. There's so many valuable buffs that you could strip just by random chance that could exponentially increase your DPS. So that's why I take 1 point in this, because we have an extra point. So I think it's good value. You can also do things like overall speed. If you would rather not double stack on the Force of Will like I will, you can take overall speed. You can take more counterattack damage, although we don't normally do that much counterattack damage with Syndrion Freygar March. But you can also do all conquering as well if you want to have more duelist potential. Okay. The last 2 points I just put into Irrepressible. That just gives us that defense penetration. And so this looks good. This is my final build for Syndrion. All right, so moving along, we're going to talk about our hero pairings. The first and foremost, the biggest one here is going to be Syndrion Freygar. Obviously, this is like the meta pick for rallies and all kinds of content that you're going to do with Syndrion. She just synergizes super well. She gives us crit rate for 7 seconds, which is exactly how long his double attacks last. So that's super good. She does a little bit of damage there. She also is going to give us crit damage. She's going to reduce the rage accumulation of the enemy march. And she helps us do more damage with Gold Crest, which we'll talk about here in a second. So Freygar is your go-to pairing for Syndrion. They just synergize better than probably any other 2 characters in the game, besides maybe like a Waldir Valen combo. But yeah, these 2 are nuts together. The second one I want to talk about is one I actually learned from Meower, if you guys know who he is. He's another YouTuber. He talked about taking Syndrion and Kanara, but only if they are awakened. Okay, he talked about how in his tests, they have some of the highest damage in the game in terms of damage output, like DPS. So I haven't done any testing on that. It's not conclusive, but when they're both awakened, Meower seems to think that these 2 characters go really well together, which I tend to agree with that. I mean, we have the chance to inflict defense break, which is a huge debuff for the target. And then we also have things like counterattack damage, and then a plethora of different debuffs we can use to kind of manage other marches. So I kind of like this march. It's something that I need to test more of. The next one is if you don't really have Freygar or your Kanara is bad, but you like Nico. Nico is an option. He also applies defense break. I wouldn't say he's the best option for Syndrion. He doesn't do a whole lot for Syndrion as far as Syndrion's kit is concerned. And also Nico's more of a skill damage type of archer anyways. So they don't really synergize the best, but it is an option. You can use him if you're like me and you run elves, and a lot of times your Freygar is absent because she's all flying around with Vorendil. Then Nico is an option that you can take as well to kind of fill in that gap. Now, the last one I want to talk about is a special one. This one's for our free-to-play players, but it's also honestly for anyone. Guan Wen. Now, hear me out here. Guan Wen, when she's awakened, she has the Fervent Wind passive, which means that on her normal attack, they have a 50% chance to poison the target, dealing hero skill damage every second for 3 seconds. Now, double the chance to proc this because of Syndrion's double hits, right? But also, this does not have a cooldown. There's no cooldown on this, so you can keep procking this. This makes her and Syndrion probably one of the best pairs for city hopping in the game. You hop out of your city, you immediately get rapid fire when you hit somebody, and then you're double hitting them, proccing Fervent Wind from Guan Wind to do additional poison damage over time, and it just does a lot of damage very quickly. Very, very quickly. And because you can just keep hopping out and hopping into the city, they can never target you, really. So you're only going to take counterattack damage, and if they're in range, obviously they're going to hit you back if they're a range target. But the point is that you're going to dish out this massive, double hits, for 3 seconds on Syndrion, and you're also poisoning them. So this is my go-to when I'm city hopping and I'm poking. I really, really like this combo. So keep that in mind. Now we're going to go over the artifacts as well. Gold Crest is the go-to. I mean, it is just the best artifact on Syndrion. Even if he doesn't have Freygar in the March, it still does ridiculous damage. And I'll have some screenshots on the screen right now that you'll be able to see. So you can see kind of how much damage he does. He can do well over 100,000 damage to a March, even without Freygar in the party. I mean, even with, like, if Freygar is in the party, it goes up by, a ton more damage. But, Gold Crest is going to be what you want to run if you have it. Now, if you can get this to max and you're an Archer main, I would do it. This, again, I can't stress enough, Gold Crest is a nutty artifact. I have had so many moments where I've shot somebody with Gold Crest, their entire march has disappeared, and everybody in Discord's like, holy, what just happened, right? So yeah, Gold Crest gives you those wow moments. I love Gold Crest. The second option would probably be Shadow Blades. I just think that this is probably a more reasonable option for most low spender free-to-play players. They probably have Shadow Blades, so it's not a bad one to have and put on him if you don't have Gold Crest or if it's not out in your server yet. And then finally, for a free-to-play option, we have Heart Piercer. Heart Piercer is going to be like your best go-to for almost all archers when you're looking in the purple artifacts. You're talking about doing some extra damage. It's got the double Legion attack scaling on it, and then it has a chance to, cause a physical defense break, which is very good. I mean, it's a very good skill for a purple. So this will be your go-to if you're free to play. So there you have it, our quick and dirty guide on Syndrion. I tried to keep this one significantly shorter than my last video, so if you stuck around until the end, thank you. If you guys have any questions, please ask them below and I will answer them, and if you prefer a more in-depth guide, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Take care, and until next time.